name is Mohammad Maruf Sarkar. My topics here today is software requirement types. There are three main types of requirements. They include business requirements, user requirements, and system requirements. With each new level becoming more detailed and possibly more numerous as we go through, business requirements are one of the most important to the project stakeholders, which includes the people paying for the work to be completed, the employees that will use the system, and the project manager for planning purposes. Business requirements directly drive the purpose of the project. They are the reason the project was even considered in the first place. Business requirements are the problems that the customer is trying to solve. User requirements are more focused on the end user, the employee, or the customer. User requirements need to capture all of the possible inputs and outputs to the system. These I/O aspects may include efficient screen flow support for bulk operations, integration with internal and or external system. Documenting these requirements will often coax out many more user experience and suggestions than were first considered. It would be best if you recorded them. The final category is the system requirements. System requirements include aspects of the proposed solution, which are less obvious than database files or those generated monthly reports. They can also include functional aspects such as system architecture, performance, response times, monitoring, reporting, and notification features, plus a whole lot more. Quantifying as many requirements as possible early on in the development process is a paramount to embarking on a project with a realistic understanding from all parties. This quantification will feed directly into a qualification phase later on. In addition to the three main categories of requirements, there are also many more categories that can be used to group requirements. One such category is data requirements. This classification can include but is not limited to things like data types that describe what structure might be needed for data to be stored within the system. Record login, which describes all concerns about how, let's say, if David is editing a record, then Tony cannot change it at the same time. This is also known as concurrent access or the last person wins scenario, where the last person to click save will have their data saved over the other persons. Precision and grounding. Whenever you are saving data, such as money values, you need to be mindful of rounding errors. Imagine if 10 phase records were rounded down to the next penny and the havoc that could cause. Again, this is not an exhaustive list, but keeping these types of things in mind early on in the process will save you time and effort later on. Another often overlooked category of requirements is usability. Usability refers to how people interact with your system. You can design the most advanced order processing system in the world. However, what is it really worth if the person using it struggles to read that fancy font you have chosen? Alternatively, the screens are hard to read when considering usability requirements. Keep the following in mind. Do not choose a font size that is too small to read. Make sure that your colors contrast well. It is essential to use easy to read screens that a majority of users can view. Finally, using clickable labels instead of actual standard button is a surefire way to discourage early adoption. I hope you can see that many factors go into designing a professional system, and the goal of this course is to increase your awareness of these factors. The next logical question is, why do we need them? Surely, eliciting requirements appears to be a simple task, right? Why not just ask the customer, the users, and other stakeholders what the objective are for the system? What is it that needs to be accomplished? Find out how the system or the project fits into the needs of the business. And finally, how the system or the product is to be used on a day to day basis. Simple, right? Well, almost, but not quite. There were a few issues that could arise which may complicate the process. Firstly, if you have ever been involved in a software project, you will have undoubtedly experienced scope creep. This is when those little additions get added to the project in a non formal manner, accumulating into an ever moving goalpost. Requirements are an attempt to draw a line in the sand, a milestone or a benchmark that all parties can and should agree upon before any work is actually undertaken. This is set in the customer's expectations from the start. The customer knows their problem domain the best. However, they may not know or understand what is needed to solve their business problem.